Hey everybody. Hope y'all are all having a good Thursday. Same old, same old. We'll start around 6:40. So feel free to go and grab yourselves some refreshments or anything else. And I'll see y'all soon. I'm gonna start the recording. Hey everybody. Welcome to actually this will be our basically our last like actual lesson slash group work uh class. Welcome to that. I will have like a short lecture and then kind of break y'all in the groups so y'all can work on your projects. Um, One thing I did want to mention is um again, remember Tuesday is your capstone presentation day. Don't be out here like being playing hooky or anything like that. I think one of the most important pieces is like, this is the time you get to kind of really showcase your work, all the things that you've done, and also remember this is going to be kind of like this project that you'll be able to speak to when you're actually doing future job interviews and stuff. So keep that in mind while you're out and about, like doing while you're working today. So a little housekeeping. Remember, we are going to be presenting very similar to, the whole uh, way I showed y'all with the capstone on Tuesday. Let me know if y'all have any questions beforehand. We are going to have class on Saturday in person, so that'll be our last in-person class. But primarily, yeah, that's going to be most of the lectures in a nutshell. One of the things I do want to mention is I understand that, like y'all have been busy and, graduating. Some have not had the ability to finish all of the labs. Again, the lessons in labs are not going to go anywhere. So what I'll be doing is putting all of like the recorded lectures on YouTube on the same playlist that most of the other lectures are in. Along with that, there'll be a couple of other like cool little learning enhancements that I hope will help y'all kind of just like hold in all of this information. And as well as that, remember your labs are always going to be on GitHub until GitHub starts paying for, charging people for repos. It will just be up there. They're all open source and all of that jazz. So feel free to just revisit the labs if you ever want to while you're in your internships, all the way to a year from now when you want to just kind of remember how to do something in JavaScript that you did during in one of the labs and stuff like that. Yeah, one other thing I do want to mention though is uh don't take too long to finish your labs. Like what normally happens, and this happened to me in my coding boot camp as well, was like I was like, oh, I got all these repos from the Flatiron School. I'm gonna do all of them, like right after my internship. And I never got to them again. Like I basically was like, yeah, I'll do it next week. I'll do it in 2 weeks. I'll do it in a month. Never ended up doing it. So don't sleep on that. These lessons are all kind of tailored to um, teach you one particular aspect that's important about just the web development stack that we've been learning. So don't sleep on it. Honestly, you'll people pay $18,000 to do this same course that y'all were doing over here. So utilize it. Utilize the resources that you have. Okay. Enough of me yakking about stuff there. Let's go into our quick lecture. So, this isn't primarily going to be um, on like really a concept in code. Basically, we've kind of went over most of the things that we were going to go over for the cohort. So what I want to do is kind of like ensure that y'all are using AI in like different unique ways that can kind of really help y'all just with your learning. So Yeah. So what I mean is like using AI for your job seeking as well as learning. So I'll go through these slides a little faster because of the fact that like most of y'all know a lot of these pieces in AI. But let's get started. Okay, so again, a lot of y'all know this because a lot of y'all have been using this, but what AI really is basically um, it's when a machine is trained to mimic human thinking. So really like learning, problem solving, and even like creating. One of the interesting things is, you know, uh, AI can't really produce something new. It's always kind of taking things from its LLM, what it learned from the large language model, but primarily like a lot of what originality is, it's just kind of taking two existing concepts and merging them together, like Reese's when you're mixing chocolate and peanut butter together. So this kind of element creates the believability of uh intelligence from like these artificial beings out here. But really, when you think about it, it's really just until we get to AGI, where this is really just a very smart autocomplete. So keep that in mind. These systems are really here to simulate human intelligence and cognitive abilities, but it's again a simulation. So never forget that. One of the things that I think is really important for y'all to kind of grasp is um, like the way there are ways to use AI, and as an enhancement, not as a crutch, because there's a lot of like I'm totally predicting this in the next 10 years. There's going to be like a humongous loss of like critical thinking skills because everyone's going to be relying on AI a bit too much. So you don't lose that. You'll be one of like the only peeps out there in the working world, hell, in the world in general that still uses critical thinking. So don't offshore that to an AI because that's something that is critically human and critically you. So again, interactive activity. How do we really define AI and its purpose? Defining AI, again, we kind of talked about this, but it's this digital system with AI capabilities like this, like if they can learn to complete tasks by kind of really identifying patterns in data, like then, rather than explicitly following a programmed instructions, that's really what our modern day AI is right now. So when you really think about it, image recognition, text to speech, recommendation algorithms, ChatGPT. These are all the things that, we like outside of ChatGPT, these were all things that happened beforehand. And we never really like batted an eyelash at any of those pieces. That was just kind of like the onset of like, an earlier rendition of AI. So just keep that in mind. Like again, really smart autocomplete a lot of times. Something interesting that I always love to kind of mention is there are two fields in the world that really just uh, that are really kind of all about like innovation without actually meaning to be about innovation. One is the video game industry. That's part of the reason why, like, like really convincing AI was something that was big 20 years ago in like video games. So like, a lot of times, like, more traditional technology tries to catch up with that. And the other industry, it's not very PG, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. But the idea is like all they do is like straight up innovation that you never even thought of, and that's kind of crazy too. But uh, I'll have a spicier talk, I guess, on YouTube or something. But this is kind of like the way we handled our problems back in the day, pre AI. So in pre AI, the first kind of section that we have here is where we had like an input um, plus an algorithm, a set pattern on how to solve that. And that would equate to an output. So the idea is like, you have an input of like numbers and you have an algorithm to kind of multiply numbers, and your output would be the result of two times two or something like that. post AI is kind of like this other interesting thing that's kind of turned around. Like the what really happens is you have these inputs and you kind of share with your LLM like your output, what you would like to happen. And what AI now does is kind of like it creates the algorithm to do it from there. So again, back in the day, like this was kind of like pre-computing. This was kind of like the I don't know if y'all heard this. Like we kind of joked about this back in the day. Programming was with punch cards. I think Dr. Kruger even mentioned it on one of the Saturday classes that he was here on. But basically, punch cards were really the way that like programs used to kind of like be a thing. And now, it's more on the lines of like inputs plus the outputs equals the algorithm. So you have like this poorly drawn seven to the top left. And what the LLM does is it kind of goes through this huge neural network pattern to kind of figure out what number that can be. As you can see, it's kind of like you can see a visual of how it's kind of like understanding how it's seven from like breaking down every pixel and then just kind of seeing what's filled and not filled. All right, so AI exposure. Here's the thing about this. These are a little bit older numbers. These were kind of like from 2024. But, I really do feel like AI has moved so fast that like all of these numbers are probably like doubled or at this point. But in 2024, 6% of employment was exposed to AI and automation. 25 employments were exposed to that on one other front. But if you've seen a lot of the ads and stuff like that, like it seems like every company is trying to figure out how they can use AI in their services or their automation or their workflow. So this number is probably drastically higher. Again, one of the unfortunate pieces about this is, for people that are kind of like established in their roles, this is kind of like this really beautiful enhancement, while people who are just starting out in their careers, like you guys, are going to have to kind of like work a little harder to kind of differentiate yourselves. As I mentioned before, there's really kind of like this disappearance of the junior engineer in a lot of roles. There's software engineer and then basically software architect, that like AI just kind of got rid of like junior mid-level software engineer all the way to kind of like like senior software engineer. It's really like how do you become a system architect is kind of like where you want to kind of think through because as and Lewis says this a lot too, but like code is cheap now. So the idea is how do you kind of figure out how to utilize like what you learn and like how to make great systems so you can kind of help, which will help you kind of build your software a little easier. Um, this stuff here really is just kind of like again, this is old data again from 2024, but like 40% of users use ChatGPT or something similar. I think it's way higher now. 28% have used LLMs at work, 11% daily. Again, these numbers are 2 years old, and how if you looked at how Will Smith used to eat spaghetti with a AI video generation tool in 2024 compared to now, like it's drastically different. I think these numbers are drastically different as well now. So, like it's only growing. One thing to kind of be mindful of though is this part of the reason why I mentioned not to utilize this as a crutch. We all kind of talk about this aspect of, the AI bubble being a thing. If this bubble pops, like the amount of like I think both ChatGPT is $20. What is it? Claude, if you're really a pro user, is like $100 to $200 a month or something like that. Um, if the AI bubble pops and they really need to start making money, like those prices are gonna double, triple. It's gonna get crazy. So like this idea of you being able to be like, yeah, I could totally obfuscate that to an AI agent. Like, don't rely on that fully because that's kind of that can go away at a certain point. AI is never really going away, but it's only going to get more expensive, and that's just going to be an issue that we all have to deal with in the future. What I like to say is if y'all were around for the earlier days of Uber, this is kind of like the early days of Uber where like rides used to cost like drastically cheaper than where they are now. So like you would actually be like, yo, let's just take an Uber somewhere. Like I used to back when I was making one of my games, um I would work in the FIDI area, which is where the Flatiron School had their like little classroom setting. So I was always like, no one's gonna be there on Saturdays. Let me actually utilize the whole space, get some really great food, and just like get some dope music and just hammer out some cool like apps that I was thinking about. But and then basically at the end of the night, I was like, yo, like I live near Yankee Stadium, so I was like, yo, let me take an Uber. That was like $20 back in the day. Then now, it's like 100 or something crazy like that. I really feel like that's going to be the reality of like utilizing like AI and token usage in the future. So just keep that in mind. So if you relied on this to the point where you're like, I can't code without ChatGPT, picture a world where your membership to ChatGPT is $200. Like, is that going to change the way you program? If that's the case, I would say you should be primarily like working on the foundation so you can kind of understand how your apps are built instead of vibe coding them. That's so, there's part of the reason of it is like as your professor, I'm like, yo, learn this, but also as a working professional, these things are going to cost a lot of money in the future. So you already should know this. So you're not out here like screwed when critical thinking skills cost $200 a month. All right. So again, y'all kind of understand this, but the myth AI is a robot like in movies. It's kind of getting there at a certain point, like we are having these robotic humans and stuff like that, but that's not really the reality right now. So as of 2026, so watch next year, we're just seeing a bunch of robot humans walking around, but the reality is most AI is software, like ChatGPT, your Spotify suggestion engine, stuff like that. I really do see a world where, it will kind of start going into the real world by having these autonomous robots. But right now, primarily 90% of AI is really just software. And you can really interact with it in software ways. The myth AI will replace our jobs. Like AI, like can like really support workers, and especially with repetitive data and heavy data tasks. So this is my real talk. I really think you kind of see a lot of this where like Meta will like lay off thousands of people, or Oracle will lay off thousands of people, and they kind of mention it's like AI related. um Hot take, I really just think they're just like trying to find an excuse to like lay people off. Like a lot of like these like companies, usually when they like rely on AI tools to that level, they end up having to bring back software engineers. Like for example, if you remember, like Amazon web services like shut down like a couple months ago because some AI agent like accidentally like brought down a whole server and stuff like that. These are the things that when they say AI can replace all software engineers, I'm like, you sure, buddy? Like that's probably like that's at a certain point in life, like when AGI, which is like basically when AI has real intelligence, like that could be a reality. But I would say there's more things to worry about uh if that happens anytime soon, as like AI wondering if whether humans are even worth saving and stuff like that. Those are the real problems you'll be having to worry about once we get to AGI. Um, I want to give you all time to work, so we're not going to do discussion questions, but really think about the fact that AI is here to enhance, not to replace. So just keep that in mind. Like there's even like back in the day, I actually tried to incorporate AI for job seekers at Workforce One. So that's kind of like the service that powers a lot of what we have been like. Basically, they're a division that's actually like kind of funding this program. So the idea is like really when you really think about it, there's so many job seekers that need placement and need personalized help, AI can really be utilized for that over just being like, yeah, let's fire 15 people. So keep that in mind. Yeah, again, we talked about examples to AI, our voice assistant, spam filters, Netflix, Spotify recommendations, smart typing, these message summaries. These are kind of like examples of AI that we've experienced before ChatGPT changed the game out here. Let's get to the real nitty gritty piece that I want to kind of mention is like coding with AI, like some of the best practices. So as like junior engineers, like y'all, who are just kind of starting this world of software here, part of the reason why I think it's important for y'all to understand these concepts and over just being like AI, build me the tool is basically one, you understand the way your app works. AI should be utilized to debug and refine your code, like starting small, because AI hallucinates. There's a lot of things that AI could get wrong. It has been getting better every new iteration, but it's not perfect. Leverage AI tools for efficient code generation. Again, if you start small, that task would be like, the AI is not going to just be overwhelmed and start hallucinating and putting furries in your app or something crazy like that. So you want to kind of like start small and just start from there. Ensuring like, to verify like the AI generation code thoroughly. Like, so if y'all remember that whole lab that, you know, one third of y'all didn't finish, but the deploy on day one, what you should be doing in like your code generations is not just accept it, basically take a look, read through it. And this is part of the reason why I mentioned like understanding the programming concepts that are important. Cause like if you read through it, the code is generated, you read through it and you kind of understand like, oh, okay, I see what the AI agent has been doing or is trying to do, but you messed up this one line over here or this other one line over there. And that's where it's easier to kind of just be that debugger. And then what's cool about that is, as I mentioned, we're trying in a world, in the future world, you're kind of wanting to try to become more of a software architect. This is what software architects do. Like, unfortunately, they write less code. They really just plan out the systems and give smaller tasks to like more junior mid-level engineers. You're trying to do that with these AI agents. So yeah, use AI for learning and exploring new concepts too. So let's say, we really, unfortunately, I'll admit to this, we kind of we zoomed past Node and a lot of stuff like that just to kind of get through everything before your capstones, like for your capstones. You can utilize AI to kind of just talk through and actually understand what are some of the best ways to utilize, like maybe a tool that you're a little bit unfamiliar with, um, to kind of like better create a better experience. Long story short, what is it? I'm actually utilizing AI to kind of build out my own API for that whole holiday Christmas special app that I shared with y'all a couple of moons ago. I'm actually like building out an API so it's easier to add holiday shows to that. So that's how I am like utilizing AI to kind of like be like, hey, how would I make a really good API? And then reference that API that way. Let's let me quickly get this. And with the peeps that weren't all right, I'll show it to y'all later. For the peeps that don't remember it. Here's all right, so here's an example. Um Last year I was working on this really cool like blockbuster VR slash web experience. And what I wanted ChatGPT to do was kind of hold all of the data for like the movies that I was working with. So the idea was like I would have this humongous JSON of 131 movies, all of like my favorite films to like cool films that might show up in Blockbuster if you were kind of exploring that on a Friday night in the 90s. But um, because of the fact that like that was just so much data, like ChatGPT just started hallucinating the JSON data. So like basically I kept being like I kept adding movies to this to like the chat, and like I kind of set up the structure of like saying like, hey, what I need you to do is get the director, the year it came out, the rating, what category it is, and then I'm going to give you basically the texture in this weird horizon texture asset, which is basically the way you would represent the actual texture in Horizon World, which was where the world was built out of. And then after a while, like, the AI, like, Chat GPT, just after 70 movies, was just like, I have no idea where I am. I don't know how to make this thing anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just kind of like, I've been giving you data for the past hour. You mean you've lost all of it? Like, this is crazy. So these are part of the examples that I'm talking about, like where, you don't want this humongous thing. You want to start small because the bigger things get, the more hallucination chances you get. And this goes especially for the free tiers because, of course, I know as we're all starting out college students out here, like you don't want to spend $20 on ChatGPT, $100 on Claude, so on and so forth. So you're more than likely using the more basic plans. The more basic plans are going to be more likely to hallucinate. So keep that in mind. Part of the reason why you start small. A really good example that I love using is adding a character to your like AI helper. So instead of saying something like, hey, help me fix this app, what I you would probably do is personify it. Hey, you are an expert senior React developer and a UX UI game designer specialized in progressive web apps. It's put on that director hat and just basically scope down itself as the senior software engineer, and then you could start asking it like these smaller questions with your app. So now it's this senior software engineer helping you out over this massive entity that may hallucinate something ridiculous from some other data set that it accidentally just grabbed. So personifying your AI agents before you work with them is one of the best things you can do. Also, remember, you can actually use this to enhance your resume. So remember to kind of like upload your resume and like maybe upload the job that you're kind of looking towards and get a tailor suited resume for every job role that you're applying to in the future after your internships. Um, Also, there's a lot of really cool AI tools that are just starting out. I would recommend using something like Google's Career Dreamer. The idea behind this is basically you kind of think through what role you want. So you kind of like come up with your career identity statement, and it'll kind of enhance it based off of some skills that it sees that you are proficient in. And then from there, it kind of creates this really cool graph to kind of show you like, hey, these are some of the roles you might be interested in. And I believe the green ones are kind of like AI results. So the idea is like these jobs may be available in the near future. So you can kind of think through like, oh, do I want this weird niche job over here? And as I mentioned before, using those niche jobs are kind of like the way to differentiate yourself in the field. But also it's a bit of a gamble because let's say hypothetically you're an NFT developer or something like that. Like a couple years ago, you were making bank. Now you are working at McDonald's. So keep that in mind. So basically, you go and click on your role, and then you find this like, you could find basically the possible role that you're interested in from that. And then you could find like jobs near you, average salaries, typical degree that you need for it, so on and so forth. So pretty cool stuff, and you can kind of use this today. Uh, we all know about ChatGPT. The idea is really like if you want to make these like little edits to your resume, you can kind of do that with ChatGPT. What I did a little bit ago was help, like basically did a resume revamp with a friend of mine's. I've changed her name so y'all don't know who she is, but basically she was trying to find new jobs and new work. And I was like, all right, let me help you out by kind of taking what you have and then turning that into a more enhanced resume, basically based off of like what the LLM believes can enhance, your roles and responsibilities there. So it turned out to kind of give this more polished role resume, and it feels a lot cleaner, and there's a lot more action words and buzzwords that will help her get recognized. Also remember, one, first and foremost, Gemini for students, I believe y'all get a free year of Gemini, so keep that in mind. But also there are these little gem managers, so you could kind of like think of a gem manager as like something that just kind of holds a bunch of different ideas all based in the same category together. And then from that, you can kind of like ask it questions. So it's almost like it's already personified. For example, one of the gems that's pre-made by Google, if you're using Google Gemini, is a career guide. And then you can basically kind of start from there. There's also coding partner as well. Um, Also, NotebookLM is another really great tool. Basically, you can kind of put PDFs, videos, whatever you want in there, and it can kind of create a little AI podcast for you. This was like all the rage like a year ago. People's minds were blown back in the day. Now it's just basically as basic as drinking water. But the idea is, let's say you wanted to work on cracking the coding interview. You toss that into Notebook LM, and then you got a whole beautiful little podcast to go to sleep to on basically concept from cracking the coding interview. Now, as I mentioned before, starting small might be the vibe here. Like you put the whole book in there, you're probably just getting like the whole overview of the book, but maybe you put each chapter in as like a whole as a like one chapter in for one podcast, and then you use another Notebook LM for the second chapter, and so on and so forth. That's where it starts to kind of get a little easier for you to kind of break down each concept as you're going through your software career. So keep that in mind. Really remember, you can use this for basically like helping to teach yourself. You can use it for job seeking. You can use it, remember, for like, like just kind of helping yourself with coding, which I know a lot of y'all are already doing. But really, again, start small, personify your AI agent, and really don't forget that, like, almost like if anyone plays Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that, it's like every time you use it, you lose a little bit of, instead of like losing life points, you're losing a little bit of critical thinking skills. So just kind of like you don't understand like that you don't want to get to zero out here. So just kind of like treat it that way. Use it as a tool, not a crutch. Yeah, so basically, most of these tools are free, as I mentioned before. So I would say, yeah, that's it. Um, ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum. We're done. All right. So any questions before I break y'all in the groups out here? Oh yeah, it's 7:14. I talked a bit too much. All right, so the rest of the class is going to be very similar to what we did before. Break off in the groups. We are going to basically now work on our not labs, our capstones. And I wish y'all all of the best luck. Of course, we will be here, so just come into the, like we'll check on you sporadically, but also, come into the main lobby if you have questions. But without further ado, let's get y'all coding out here. All right, so same old, same old. I'm gonna put us in the groups. I mean, I'm gonna create the rooms. Y'all are gonna go into groups. And yeah, let me know if y'all have any other questions. Until then, enjoy.
The Thursday.
Sorry, say that again.
The final presentation
The final presentation. Yeah, you said?
means the capstone project. So
Yes.
how are we going to do? And means everyone has to show means the speak online means live
Yes.
and
So everyone should in the group should be speaking. So like like what I'd recommend doing is possibly breaking it off into little sections. So like one person does the intro, another person does something else, another person does something else. Or you can have kind of like a lead MC and then other people kind of try chime in. But primarily everyone should kind of speak to a particular part of the project.
okay. And this is on coming Tuesday or Thursday?
This will be Tuesday.
This coming Tuesday. And how
Yeah,
much time do
remember
we have to?
Tuesday is the last class too. So basically, like if you
Oh,
show up on Thursday, there's gonna be no one's gonna be here.
so Tuesday means you are going to call the group, then your first group, your second group, your third group like this, or we have to wait
So
just.
basically, I'm gonna first ask if anyone wants to kind of volunteer. But if no one wants to, then I'm gonna start calling on groups. But
Got
what
it.
I primarily want to do is like, I'd recommend, just knock it out first. That's what I love doing. Just like present first, and then you could just lie back and just kind of chill, just watch everyone else's group without uh,
And
freaking out.
and how much time do we have to present our each group has time?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's about like 5 to 10 minutes each. So really just kind of think through what you want to talk about. And um, really, when you think about it, you're actually going to end up probably going over because of the fact that you're just like if you talk about all the aspects, like really think about how you're going to break this down. Like it'll be like a minute or so with like introducing your groups, about a minute or so about like, the problem and the solution, a minute or like two basically on just kind of the app and how it's working, and then all of the whole next step stuff, you're more than likely going to go to 10 minutes. So
Okay.
like 5 to 10 minutes is the vibe.
Okay. And we have to submit our assignment, means our whole capstone project. So you are going to provide us link or just we have to upload zip file and on stack?
No, I would say it would be smarter to just kind of like include it in your presentation. Like, so send me the presentation, but the um, GitHub link. I don't need a zip. I just need the
Oh,
GitHub link to the project.
oh, okay, okay. Means GitHub is there, is our project is already there. So you will
Yeah.
check directly, am I right?
Mhm.
Got it. And this Saturday we have a class, am I right?
Yes, this Saturday, still come to class. That'll be the last time you'll get our help in person. So yeah, you need to like come to class or forever hold your peace.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Of course. All right, I'll see in a little bit. There's a couple more rooms. If is your team here?
I think I have only one person is Sir Sarthak is here,
Okay.
and the Steve is here on with me on mobile, and he's saying he will not be here. He just leave the he has some work right now.
Yeah.
So tonight round Sarthak is with me.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you, Professor.
So yeah, of course. Good luck. Okay, for all the other peeps that are also here, feel free to jump into your rooms or I will assign you into rooms. Just we'll see y'all in a I'll give y'all like 30 seconds to go into rooms.
Makai is asking to be
Yes.
signed into
Yeah,
a
my bad. I
cyber.
said it like 3 times when I was muted. I was like, I got you. I'll assign you one.
But what
Let's back up. Oh. Okay, I think that's everybody. So welcome back. I want to give y'all as much time as y'all could for development. So keep up the just again our last actual day of a class of actual like working is going to be Saturday. So, remember just kind of thinking through like your project and like exactly what you need to do to kind of be ready for your presentation on Tuesday. Just kind of work with your team to make sure that y'all are ready for that. And just I guess the last piece that I would say is like, like make sure you have all of the things you need to be ready for like basically I would want y'all to kind of basically feel as though you're ready to present by the end of Saturday. So try to keep that in mind. Things will always kind of come up. So, like at least you have like a day buffer, but real talk, just aim to like finish your project by Saturday while we're in class, so you will be in a good state. Okay. Before I end class, do y'all have any questions out here? No, none. All right. So, without further ado, y'all can bounce. It's 8:30. I'm gonna, just for continuity sakes, I'm showing that little app I was sharing about in the lecture with the Christmas stuff. So, feel free to leave. But here's the app. Enjoy, guys. If y'all are fans of the Batman animated series, Christmas with the Joker is iconic. Enjoy it.
Naeem is asking if someone will be there to see the presentation. Uh,
Yeah,
of
so
course,
basically the plan is there's more than likely going to be someone from SBS. I believe like possibly Dimitri and Praveen will be there as well. So like it's not just gonna be us, so don't like be out here being like, like I can half-ass this. Like now, like remember there might be someone from like the actual program that funds this program, all the way to the instructors at like Praveen and Dimitri. So keep that in mind, okay?
Okay.
All right, without further ado, get out of here, guys. See
Thank
ya.
you. Have a
Thank you,
good night.
Professor.
Take care.
Good night. Good night.
Night, guys. See y'all on Saturday.